Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, and it's a pleasure to be with you again today after this great Thanksgiving holiday. So today, let's look at something that really is crucial with what's happening not only in our country but globally, because drugs have become even more lethal as combination types of drugs have come out, and fentanyl is getting mixed in with K2, with other substances, and many deaths are occurring. Other combinations are occurring where the drug dealers are mixing heroin, cocaine, flakka, ecstasy, fentanyl, as we mentioned, into all kinds of different concoctions. And the ramifications have been really severe. And so today, we're very lucky to have with us a drug activist, drug education activist, a man who takes time from his busy life, from his profession, to safeguard our communities and our families. And so, Buddha, if we put him up on the screen, I want to introduce Mr. John Carey to our viewers. There you go. There's John. And there's that handsome guy presenting Drug-Free World. So John is a top financial advisor and investment analyst, recognized as top 300 financial advisors of 2019 by the Financial Times. He graduated with an economics degree from Susquehanna University in 1972 and subsequently obtained an MBA in finance from Penn State University in 1973. And he's a member of the Pi Gamma Mu National Honor Society. Mr. Carey has over 45 years of experience in investment management and is managing director and portfolio manager at Griffin Asset Management. He began his career at U.S. Trust, where he rose to the position of senior vice president and a member of the Portfolio Policy Committee, this over a 35-year period of time. He was a great athlete, and as a college wrestler, John won third place in the 177-pound weight class at the Middle Atlantic Conference in 1971. That passion that he exudes in his profession and his sports has spread and embodies his humanitarian work as he donates to nonprofit, community, and individual improvement programs to help our country, to help our state. He is also an ambassador and speaker for Drug-Free World America's chapter drug education program in New York State. He lectures and presents to opinion leaders and community members throughout the metro and upstate New York regions. And Buddha, if you put him up live on our screen, I want to introduce to our viewers Mr. John Carey. Welcome, John, to A Time for Truth show.
Thank you, Dr. Fialkoff.
It's a pleasure to have you. And I know we got a lot to cover. This is a very important topic in our country today. So first I wanted to ask you, what actually got you into finance? Why did you decide to take up finance and advising, economically advising. Tell a little bit about this for our viewers, please.
Sure. Well, I always excelled in mathematics. I was always a year ahead. And in the graduate school, my degree, which I earned with honors, was in economics. But my senior year, I realized I didn't want to, because it was just too nebulous. You couldn't really bring it down and apply it to the real world. Whatever the outcome was going to be depended on how good your assumptions were. And so I wanted something a little more concrete, tangible, more business oriented. So I went to graduate school. And once I had a course in money and banking, the Federal Reserve, investing, I just got tremendously excited and got hired by U.S. Trust. Just had a great education and experience learning about investing high net worth individuals' monies, and also building relationships, long-term relationships with clients. It's more than just, the bottom line and the financial return. It's just advising them, keeping investing in the market when something like COVID-19 hits, or using that honestly as an opportunity to buy stocks that were selling at once in a cycle or once in a lifetime level because they were so cheap, etc. So I love what I do. I've been doing it a long time, and I'm going to continue to do it probably until they carry me away.
That's a beautiful thing that you have that, emotion and such excitement about your profession. I think it's such a good thing. So I wanted to ask you, how does a financial analyst and advisor then start into this humanitarian work that you're doing with drug education?
Spot on question. There's a general answer and there's a specific answer. About 10 years ago, I observed just how available and glorified drugs were and are more than ever in our culture. It's in music, it's in film, it's everywhere. And I go back. I actually went to Woodstock, and I went for the music, and the music was unbelievable. But looking at what I saw happening and going on, just generally, got me concerned. And there was a 13-year-old girl who was close to our family who began to drink alcohol and progressed up into cocaine, became a cocaine addict, and basically almost died. And that really caused me to want to get involved. And my particular passion is for the middle school children, which is from basically age 10 until 14, 15, because that's the age when you're curious, you're very, you have a lot of anxiety, you'll have a lot of self-doubt, there's a lot of peer pressure, etc. And I think back, if the drugs that are available today were available when I was that age, I may have taken them, and a lot of people, and I may not have come back, and a lot of people that take them don't come back. So I decided to get involved, and I started doing presentations to small groups at high schools and my neighbor's son's soccer team after practice, after school programs. And then beginning about 8 years ago, I became actively involved with the New York State PTA, which is an absolutely phenomenal organization. And I have participated in about 5 or 6 of their annual conventions and summer conventions, and just connected with many parents, teachers, etc., about this program. And what I want to do is show you what we typically hand out
Sure.
at the conventions.
Okay.
This is a Truth About Drugs called an information kit.
Uh-huh.
It has general information about the program and a DVD about the program.
I see.
And then there is what's called a packet of booklets. And there is a booklet in this packet on each of the 14 most commonly abused drugs. For example, very appropriate today, here's marijuana.
Marijuana.
And each of these booklets contain tremendously valuable facts and information about the history of the drug, what the nicknames of it are, what the typical dosage is, what the dangers are. You know, for example, there's no question at all that smoking marijuana in young teenage boys as they grow older stunts the development of their brain. So right now, I just came back from the New York State Annual Convention up in Syracuse. And I have to say, you know, in the past, you know, there's been keen interest, and I've got a lot of names and contacts and given out information. But this year, as a couple of the PTA members said, you know, they're talking about buying toys to give to the elementary children. And she said, we got to do more than that. We got to get real. So with the legalization of recreational marijuana and, you know, the forthcoming opening of shops and stores and whatnot, the people don't know what to do. They need information. They don't know what to do. And this is the only and the best information out there. And it is absolutely 100% free. And so what I'm going to be looking to do with the PTA, which I haven't done before, is have Zoom calls, talk about the program, and have as many people in a particular area on that call, and then have the children bring the booklets and the information home. For example, one of the reasons for that is that if a parent talks to their son or daughter, the children, about drugs, that child or children are 40% less likely to take drugs. So, you know, it's horrific. I don't know how else to say it. I was in the Bronx 2 weeks ago, and I had to walk about 6 blocks, and the smell of marijuana and people smoking was everywhere. You know, I was there in the mid-afternoon, a school bus stopped, the kids got off, they were grade school kids. It's right in their face. I mean, what child wouldn't be curious? You know, what is that? What's it like? Mommy, daddy, you know, tell me about it. You know, and so it's just the need and the desire from adults, parents, teachers, police officers, some children. It's more than ever. It's off the chart. They don't know what to do, and we have the answer that educates them with factual information and empowers them to make a decision to not do drugs.
Well, beautiful. You know, John, what I was going to say is you sent us 2 videos. Buddha, do you have those videos ready? Yes. Good. So, you know, we're going to play the videos that you sent us from your Drug-Free World program, and here we go with the videos right now.
Nearly half of all public school children in the United States have tried drugs or alcohol by the time they're 13 years old.
A third of teens have gone to house parties where there was alcohol, pot, cocaine, ecstasy, or prescription drugs.
Over half of kids say it would be easy for them to get pot if they wanted some.
7 out of 10 teenagers have been offered an illegal drug.
Teenagers whose parents talk to them about drugs are 42% less likely to use drugs.
Get your kids the truth about drugs. Drugfreeworld.org.
If I got drunk,
If I did coke,
I'd be one of the guys.
They said meth would help me get through my exams.
they said sniffing glue was no big deal.
Totally safe.
I could party all night.
They said heroin would be the best high I ever had.
It would help me forget my problems.
He said he'd love me forever if I smoked crack with him.
They said I wouldn't get hooked after the first hit.
They said that Ritalin would help me focus.
They said weed wouldn't lead to harder drugs.
lied.
They lie.
He lied. Find out the truth about drugs.
Drugfreeworld.org.
Drugfreeworld.org.
What you said, that if a parent takes the time, how much they can help that kid. There was a statistic that I had heard that's very interesting that I think is important to share, that if we educate our kids and these, these kids don't take a drug, they don't experiment, and they don't do that up to the age of 21, then the studies show, which I found amazing, is that more than likely none of them will ever do drugs in their entire lifetime. And so I think it's so important what you're doing, because by getting to those kids early, and then if they don't take drugs and they avoid it to 21, it seems like we've hit the threshold, and then we can preserve our families, our society. And I'm sure a lot of the people out there watching this show, John, have a question, is how difficult is it? I mean, some people say, well, I'm too shy, or I don't have the time, or, what do I say? And so, I want to leave that open for you now. So what would you say to those people out there watching in terms of presenting and addressing these concerns they may have?
Well, the program, you can distribute the information and communicate about it in several ways. And it's very, very easy. These materials you can order and take with you. They come in boxes. You can start with, giving the information at a street fair. You can also give it to either go to a school with it, go to a police precinct or after school program. If you want to work with us, there'll be a link at the end of this interview to contact, and we can train you about.
Sure, we can put that link up right now. Buddha, can you put the link up on the screen so the viewers can see where to contact us if they want? There you go. Go ahead, John.
Well, and there's also, again, we can do a Zoom call with some training about how to present and what to say and what to have with you and how to do it. It's I have to say, when I first began every time that I've done this, and particularly when I haven't done it for a while, it's just so empowering for the attendees that you distribute the information to. They're not empowered yet, but they're going to be. But it's empowering to me. It's just I leave these sessions and these conventions and talks, and I just feel 20 feet tall, because I'm helping people, and I'm helping one person, one family, and it's more than that. But just I can't tell you how good this will make me feel for stepping up and taking responsibility. We have to do it. The proliferation of drugs in our society is like a river coming downstream, and the current's getting stronger, and we just have to swim harder and harder. And the best action is the proactive action to educate and inform. So again, children, everyone, parents, teachers, adults, can educate themselves and know what to do, and make a decision to not take drugs.
Absolutely. I mean, I really want to validate you, because doing it and taking the time, and you explain what happens, and so many people in today's world are saying, I'm tired, or I just, I don't feel like I used to when I was younger. So it's interesting, because there you're offering a solution. And obviously, like, this is really like your mission, and it's interesting how, because of your mission, it's almost like you're getting rewarded, that the community, any belief in God or a higher power or spirituality, it's coming right back to you, and I think that's fantastic. So let me ask you a question. If people want to get this Drug-Free World material, what is the link that they would click on? Because you said that they could obtain it for free, right?
Right. Correct. The link is www.drugfreeworld.org. drugfreeworldamerica's.org.
So drugfreeworld.org. Okay, excellent.
Right.
So that what it would do is drugfreeworld.org, and you can get the material. And now, is this material, John, in just in English, or how many languages does this exist in?
It's definitely in more than English. It's in Spanish in this country. That's probably the second, biggest publication of a language, and it's in multiple languages because this program is used around the world, not just in the United States.
It's amazing. You know, I heard the other day, and you know, because you were going to come on the show, and they had on my cell phone, you know, you got those messages of the news, and how there's been all this proliferation, like you said, of these combination drugs and increase in deaths. And I was reading that in 2018, 19, they were like 73,000, and in 2020, with all the stress of COVID, they got up to 93,000. And now they were really concerned because in this year, so far, we've already lost 100,000 Americans. 100,000. Wow. So, you know, John, in terms of like when you go out and you speak to people, like maybe you can go a little bit into what the reactions are that you've gotten from the parents and the teachers. You know, what do they say when they say this material?
Well, Ben, I wanted to add, you know, to what you just said, that if with the deaths from overdose being over 100,000 so far this year, that places deaths from overdose the number 6 killer in the United States. It's just past diabetes, for example.
Wow.
So and it's not slowing down. The reactions are everything from, I had no idea information like this was available. This is fantastic. I definitely want to follow up with you and get this distributed. It's, you know, Ben, the stories that I've heard, they're heartbreaking. And, you know, after the New York State PTA convention, it's over 2 days. And in the evening, when, you know, the convention wasn't going on, I went down to have a dinner at the Marriott downtown, and I started talking with this gentleman, and he asked me what I did and why I was there, and I told him, you know, he goes, and this is so common, I can't tell you when I talk to people. You know, we had a daughter, she was an addict, he was 62. We have a daughter, she was an addict, she did rehab, she was clean, she was living with us, and we left her alone for 30 minutes, and she OD'd. And so he's raising his grandchild. And there's so much heartbreak and devastation out there that it's just unbelievable. And Ben, I also want to add to what you said about, you know, I know about a lot of the drugs, but there's some that I don't know as well as others. And I gather with meth out in areas, particularly the Southwest, it's a huge problem where people are taking it, it's destroying their brain, and there are all these people that are homeless and going crazy on the streets and stuff. And apparently that's a factor in that. So this is at the point, if we don't do something, I mean this, if we don't do something to stem the tide here and slow it down, it's going to overtake the country. It really is, you know. And when I was up at the New York State PTA convention, I worked with someone from upstate, and we left that convention just, you know, fisting one another, saying we're taking down New York State, and that's what we want to do. And we need anybody who wants to join and help and distribute it, and, you know, just do what we're doing and save lives and heartache and devastation. You're more than welcome to join us.
Well, you know what, definitely, I wholeheartedly would hope that there's a lot of support for it, and it's up on the screen. The email there is up on the screen for anyone who wants to join John Carey and all those other good souls who are working to safeguard our kids. You know, it's kind of interesting that here we have a show with someone who's a top flight financial advisor, and obviously he's not in congruence, he's not in agreement with this philosophy that I've heard where they've been legalizing marijuana, stating that it's going to help the economy. And, you know, I just think it's insane to think that we're going to help the economy by putting our kids on drugs. I mean, I just find it crazy. And we're getting near the end of the show, John. So what concluding statement do you want to leave our viewers with?
Well, Ben, I'm glad you brought it up. I'll move it along here, but it's basically BS about the projected tax revenues from the legalization of marijuana. Because all the politicians and the vested interests to benefit from the legalization are behind this. And the state that first passed both medical as well as recreational marijuana is Colorado. So there's some very real statistics there. And the amount of tax revenue has been less than what was projected, and it's dwarfed, and I'll say it again, it's been dwarfed by the expenses of infants and toddlers going into emergency and urgent care admissions because of popping marijuana-laced gummy bears and edible candies. They have no idea what they're eating. Driving while stoned is now, those accidents are up. It's a Northeast syndrome, and there's no question, that is going to continue. You look at the cost of putting someone in rehab and getting them out, getting them off the street. Who's going to pay for all of this? Again, the cost to the system that no one talks about and that they've learned about dwarf the tax revenues. And it's just one big lie. That's all it is. And Ben, I'll be real quick. One last thing. What they've also found is in a lot of the marijuana dispensaries and stores, they're finding in the marijuana mold, which can cause neurological disease, which is horrific. And they're also finding pesticides. And the people that are selling this stuff, they don't care where it's sourced from. They don't give a hoot. They just want to make as much money as they can. I'll close, Ben, with all are welcome. This really is. It's an endemic, and we have to address it. And just look around you, look at the children, think of your children, think of other children, and I encourage you to step up and help us with this incredibly and desperately needed endeavor. Thank you very much, Dr. Fialkoff.
You know what, Mr. John Carey? You're quite welcome. Thank you for sharing what you're doing. For those of you watching out there, by all means, join and help Mr. John Carey. You can get the materials, like he said, at drugfreeworld.org. They're free to you in many languages. And if you want to email us, you have the email that was on the screen during the show. And let's actually take a look and really, let's get the wealth of the future of our children, the future of our families, the wealth of happiness and joy, the wealth of sanity. And let's really take a look at this. So from A Time for Truth, until next time, thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Mr. John Carey and Foundation for a Drug-Free World.
Here, you're welcome, Dr. Fialkoff.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet